What's going on, everybody? Mortem here, this time bringing you my next 5 reviews. And this is the kind of video I like to make every few months or so, just to kind of give people an idea of what I'm going to be up to. But I think that's especially important for this particular video because, as I'm sure a lot of people are aware, there's not really much releasing in the next few months. Because outside of the games on this list, there's realistically like maybe only 1 or 2 other games that I might cover that I know are releasing, both of which aren't going to be particularly large games, I imagine. However, because of that relatively lax schedule in terms of reviews, my plan is to review older titles, of course, like I normally do. However, I'm also planning on working on a couple of other projects. For videos, that is, stuff that will take a little longer, and thus not having to be tied up playing a game for a review, frankly, will give me the time to get done. So as such, these reviews are likely to take me not necessarily longer individually, but in general I will spend more time in between them working on other things, some of which you'll hopefully start to see in May, actually. But with no further ado, let's actually jump into what the next 5 reviews are. And while I don't plan on reviewing these in any particular order, I do plan on reviewing this one first, and that is Dragon's Dogma. Dragon's Dogma is a title I have heard a lot about and has been very much so requested multiple times on the channel. It's almost like a Dragon Age meets Dark Souls situation. But more than anything, this one looks right up my alley in the type of game that I like to play, but moreover, I tend to do a little bit of research into these older titles before I actually review them, just to kind of find things like interesting parts of their development, etc. that I might add to the review. Well, when it comes to Dragon's Dogma, the thing that really stood out to me about that initial research is simply that I can't really find anyone with anything overwhelmingly negative to say about this game. And while there are a few nitpicks here or there, really everything I've seen about this game has been incredibly positive, and the fact that I've never played it makes me very interested in checking it out. Then next up we have Tower of Time. The primary reason I would like to review this title is simply because the developers of this game are working on a separate title called Dark Envoy, and I would frankly like to check out their previous work before Dark Envoy releases. And while I have not played Tower of Time before, people have mentioned it in the comments, and it is my understanding that it is quite good. But like I mentioned, I want to check this game out before their next game releases, so I sort of have a point of reference for them. And then third on our list, we have Wildermyth. Now, I'm going to level with you guys. Wildermyth on its face isn't something I would be terribly interested in, and that is primarily due to the graphics, which I know is a really shallow reason. But I gotta be honest with you, I'm not a huge fan of this like paper art style. However, people have been so determined to get me to check this game out, on top of the fact that, again, I just don't see anyone saying almost anything negative about this title. And then I got into researching it a little bit, and it is apparently sort of a procedural storytelling thing where the story kind of evolves as you take your party members through their lives and careers as an adventurer. And that part of it sounds pretty interesting. But on its face, honestly, the art style kind of puts me off a little bit. And then number 4 on the list, we have Sands of Salzar. So Sands of Salzar is a cool indie title that tries to do a lot of things. It's sort of a strategy RPG and a more Diablo-like ARPG. It's a game I have covered a little bit before, but I haven't got around to properly reviewing yet. And it recently saw its release from early access into the full version of the title, which made a ton of changes, so I want to really check those out and dive into it. And, just as a fun aside, Sands of Salzar was actually the very first review key that this channel ever received, so naturally I want to do that review after 100% for it. And then, last on the list is a big one, actually, and that is the Mass Effect Trilogy, which I will more than likely be playing through the Legendary Edition. Now, this might come as a shock to some people, but I have literally never played a single Mass Effect game. However, what I have done is played almost every single other BioWare game. Not literally all of them. They do a couple of offshoots that aren't really RPGs that I haven't bothered to check out. And then obviously I've never touched the mess that was Anthem, as all I had to really do was look at the previews for that game to know it was garbage. However, Mass Effect is a gigantic franchise with a lot of fans, and again, this is basically the only franchise from BioWare at this point that I have not checked out. And I feel like, honestly, I'm missing a huge gap in my gaming history, shall we say, by not playing it. And I think it's about time I got around to this thing. Now, with this being more than likely the Legendary Edition, again, I'm really not sure how I'm going to approach it from a review standpoint. I might review the games individually, but that might be a little weird because it's the Legendary Edition, so I might just review the entire thing in one big video and talk about each game individually. I've got some decisions to make there, but likely after I'm done, I'll then give my thoughts on the franchise as a whole, and I think collectively no one's going to care if I skip Andromeda, because much like Anthem, you really don't have to look much into that to realize it's terrible. But there you go, guys. There are my next few reviews laid out for you. Again, also going to be working on some projects in between these titles that I'm excited to work on that you will hopefully be starting to see in May. But regardless of all of that, truly, just thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Hope you're looking forward to the reviews. And if you are, remember to like, comment, subscribe, all that YouTube jazz. But again, thank you. May you wander in wisdom and have an amazing day.